session, we'll be talking about data cleaning using Power Query. So data cleaning is a very important step in data analysis because without cleaning your data appropriately, analysis results won't be correct. In fact, in most cases, you won't be able to analyze your data. For instance, let's take a close look at the value column and the wage column. You see, you have some special characters before the values, and the values are text values, right? Whereas we will want the values to be numerical values. The same thing with the wage column. So this is how the release column was, the release clause column. I cleaned this to serve as an example. So there are various ways you could clean data on Power Query. One way is to write a query, but I'd like to show us simpler, quicker, and more productive steps to ensure that we clean this data. Okay, so let's clean the wage data. So you'll see that from the queries and connection here, you realize that we had already connected these data sets to Power Query. So we could come to query here, right? And say edit query. Okay. So our Power Query editor is loading. All right. So we have it loaded now. So what we want to do, we want to navigate to the column where we will need to work on, and we want to work on the value column, right? So we could just click on the value here to highlight the value column. Then we will go to our transform tab and basically use a split column. And we want to split the column by a delimiter. All right. Okay. So the first delimiter we have is a comma delimiter, right? It's set as custom. So what happens is that, you see, most times it picks it automatically for you. And that is why Power Query is very efficient for data cleaning. Okay. So the first delimiter here is the comma delimiter that separates the special character here with others. So let's go ahead and say okay. So you see that it has separated this into two columns, but we still have a special character here. So let's remove this value one, this special character. We will right click on it and say remove. Okay, so it's gone. All right, so we still have some work to do here on this value. We need to remove this character before the values. We also need to remove the M, all right, in these values, which indicate millions, right? So we will do split column by delimiter again, right? You see, it automatically picked the delimiter here. So we'll say okay. So now we have a basically clean figure. So let's take this out. We'll remove this. So we have this value now. We can go ahead and rename this as value because we'll be working directly with this column now. So what the next thing we need to do is to remove the M. Okay, so still highlighted, we will go to the transformed group and say replace values, or the whole of this transform group of commands. You can get them here under the transform tab, right? You can still see replace values here. So I'd like us to come here because continuing, we will have more commands here. All right, so I'll say replace values now because I want to replace the M here, which indicates million here. So I want to find what M, right, and replace with nothing. So I'm going to leave it open. All right, they replace with blank. Okay, then I'll say okay. So it's gone. So, but because this right now is a text value. If you go to the data type, you're going to see it as text, right? Look at it. The data type is text. So because it's text, we will not be able to perform any calculations on it. So the next step is that we will have to do what? We will have to convert the data type, convert to decimals at least. So we click the drop down on data type here and we'll say decimal number. So it's converted clean. Okay. All right. So if we go this way now and calculate it this way, we will not be able to get correct results. So what we need to do now is to actually make it a million, because it was indicated to be million. So what do? We go to our transform tab, then our number column group, then you see standard. Okay. This standard helps us to perform what? Standard or basic mathematical operations on Power Query. So because it's in million, we could just multiply this, right? We want to multiply it by 1 million. So that gives us the correct representation of a million. So we want to multiply by 1 million. All right. Okay, that's correct. So we go ahead and then say, okay, you see? So it is represented now as 1 million. So the whole column is represented as million. Now, this is correct. Okay. So let's do something similar. Okay. Let's clean the wage column now. So to clean the wage column, we have to identify the challenges with the wage column. We have some special character here. We have the figure, then we have K representing 1,000, isn't it? So that means we need to separate these delimiters, these special characters out. Then we can then replace the K, then convert these to decimal from text, then we'll multiply by 1,000. Like I said earlier, we could use queries, right, to remove this by adding custom columns, okay, right? And we write a query using either text.remove or text.select. But it's quite tricky, and you might not actually, sometimes, depending on some Excel versions you use, you might run into problems. So let's use something that everyone will be able to enjoy without experiencing any difficulty. All right. So let's highlight the wage column now and work on it. So the first thing we want to do now is to head on to our transform tab on our ribbon, then go to our text column group and then say split. Okay, we want to split by a delimiter. Okay, so I already used the delimiter to split this, to split the value column. So what if we try something a little bit different by splitting with number of characters? Okay, what do we split by number of characters? So we have this, no, 1, 2, 3. So that will be the third character, isn't it? We want to split after the third character, isn't it? Okay. So that is the special character, then comma, and the other special character. I think that those are 3 characters. So, but we don't want to split repeatedly after 3 characters. So we want to split once as far left as possible, because they are on the far left, right? So I said, let's try use this method now. They are on the far left. So that is done. We say, okay. And you see, immediately we have it selected. So separated. So instead of using a delimiter this time, we separated 3 characters as far left as possible. Okay. So at least we can do this once. So let's remove this column, right? And then we have our wage column now. The only challenge here right now is that I think 2 challenges here is that it's a text value and we still have K here. So what we'll be doing now is to remove the K by just substitution, right? So let us substitute K for blank. Okay, so wage still highlighted. We go to our transform tab on the ribbon. Then let's replace values. Okay, replace values. So we want to look for K and replace with blank. Remember, this area will be left blank. So we'll say, okay, so K is gone. After K is gone, we need to convert this text, right? The data type right now is still text. We need to convert this data type to decimal. So we can make it whole number or decimal. The choice is yours. So if you make it whole number, it's still going to convert into values as a number, okay? So recall that we had K representing 1,000, right? So what do? On our transform tab, numbers column, we head on to standard where we can calculate or perform basic math operations, right? On Power Query. So we go to multiply. Why are we multiplying? Because we want to multiply by 1,000. Multiply by 1,000 will give us 1,000 representation here. So let us multiply by 1,000, okay? And we say, okay. So you see the representation is correct now. We have it as 1,000 or in 1,000 representation. Okay, so you see that this is actually easy and accurate. Okay, so we have basically tried using delimiter to split the column, right? Here. So let's see, and we have also split a column using what number of characters. Okay, so now let us clean these columns, the WF and the SM columns, by using the split column command, right? So in doing that, I think the best we need to do is, if you notice here, we have a delimiter space here on the WF column. But then on the SM column, we have no delimiter, right? There is nothing separating the numbers and the special characters following. Let's split the WF column, right, first. So to split the WF column first, so I like the WF column, then say split column by position, right? So I think we'll say 1, and we'll say split as far left as possible, okay? So we say, okay, so you see, we have taken just the numbers. Then we have the special characters. So this is of no use to us. So we are going to take this out. Remove. Yes. So we have this WF now. So we double click on the name to rename this. I think WF was the original name this time. So let us use the same method to take out, separate the numbers from the special characters on SM, okay? By numbers of characters, we'll say we want the first character as far left as possible, and that is it. So this is done clean now, or clearly. So let's take out the wrong column, remove. So the next thing to do will be to rename this, right? I just double clicked on the title of the column, then I take this out, okay? So we have SM. So let's search for, okay, on this IR column, we have a similar issue here. So we need to take out the special character, okay? So remember, instead of adding, adding columns and so on and so forth, adding special columns and so on, using text.remove, we could just easily do this directly. Simply take what we want and take out what we don't, all right? And what we want is the value, and what we don't want are the special characters. So, and it's simple this way to just address it by, in this case now, we'll use delimiter because we have space as a delimiter, all right? And you see, it's automatically picked space as a delimiter. So we'll just say leftmost delimiter, because what is actually of importance to us is on the left side of the column, which is the value. So that it just splits it into just 2 columns, a column that we want and a column we don't want. Okay. So we say, okay. So now we have the column we want and the column we don't want. So let's remove the column we don't want by right-clicking and then click on remove. So we will take this out now to have a new fresh column. So everything from here is good. Everything so far is good. All right. So let's see what we can clean from this data set again. So this data set, right, is an example of 30 data set, right? And most times why you get this is where you get data from text, CSV, and so on. So you definitely have to look out for this kind of characters. That is the major thing that you usually find in data sets that you have to really take note of. And changing data type is really very important too as well while cleaning your data. Because you remember we had to change wage and value as well as release clause from text to either decimal or whole number so that we could easily summarize our data. So it's very important that we look at our values very well before we know in details. And you see how I can basically look at this large data set. I think of 997 rows and 75 columns, right? I could basically just use the filter buttons here. You see them, right? In the Power Query editor. And I can basically look at everything here quickly. I can see how they appear. So the easiest way to now deal with columns like this is to use what we call the either by digit to non-digit or by non-digit to digit. Any of these two can work, okay? The non-digit to digit will split values in selected column based on transition from non-digit to digit characters. And that is what will happen here. This will split from digit to non-digit character. Okay, so you could use any of two. So you see, so let's begin the process again. So we highlight the column of interest. Remember, we have to go to our transform tab on ribbon, then to test the column. Then we split what by digits to non-digit. So when you do that, you see that all your digits, right, will split from the non-digits, okay? You see now we have just digits here. And here in this column, we have the what? The non-digits, which are kilograms and pounds, okay?